So today is Yoga of Knowledge. This is a chapter 4, Jnana Yoga. It's a very nice thing, but here it starts off with Krishna is talking. It doesn't start with the query by Arjuna, but it starts by Krishna himself. So let us pay our obeisance to Sri Radha Govinda. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatesha Tarine Om Agnana Timirandasya Nanaka Shalakaya Chakshumritam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadattikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutam Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrachatam Saha Gana Raghunatvatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadotam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Saha Gana Lalita Shri Vishaka Nivita Shamcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatru Abhyasa Cha Kripa Sindhu Eva Cha Patitam Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Vyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasa Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, let's start. Okay. So we start with the what did we have a recap? So Arjuna last chapter he starts asking Krishna. So you are tell me one thing, that is Ekam Vada. It's instead of doing some activity, some action and undergoing the sinful reactions, is much better to renounce and go to the forest. So why do any activity at all? So then Krishna says, no, work is much better than renouncing improperly without purifying yourself. Work is required because your soul is very active and you need to engage your soul and mind in some activity, otherwise you will fall down. So then he starts talking about the laws of karma, how you can go rise from how to do Nishkama Karma Yoga. That is, start from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. He gives the roadmap. Okay. And then he says, if you have self-realized, then and also he talks about the cycle of sacrifice. And then we said that Sankirta Yajna is the one which is recommended for Kali Yuga to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama 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 Hare. But once a self-realized person, he can lead by example. He can lead others, and then we can follow the common man can follow the he'll become a role model for the common man, right? But then Arjuna will ask, what is the obstacle for this? Because sometimes, no, even if you don't want, there is some force which is pulling us to do this sinful reactions. So then he says, the lust is the one which is covering your knowledge, and it is the one which is sitting in the your senses and your mind and your intelligence. It doesn't allow you to, it will lead you to do the sinful reaction. So the best is to control your senses, and that is you start in the beginning itself, don't contemplate. So here the laws of karma doesn't leave anybody, where once you are in the material world, you are bound by this laws of karma. So this is what was said. So then he says, you do the work. What does Krishna say? So this is the thing in the progress in the spiritual path. Karma, so he says, is better than renunciation. And karma is activities, could be pious activity or impious activity, and you will be doing on the body platform. Okay, that is fruitive activities. But if you do perform the prescribed duties and but do not surrender results to the Lord Krishna. That means you are not free from the reactions. You would have done it as per the Vedic injunctions, but still you want to enjoy the results. So then it is the karma kanda. You will be not free from the cycle of birth and death. Then Sakama Karma Yoga, you perform it, but you surrender only partial results to the Lord Krishna. Then also you are having some reactions. Unless you take to Nishkama Karma Yoga, that is, you perform prescribed duties and surrender the results to Lord Krishna. So this is only a shift in attitude and to be in the Krishna consciousness. Then that's when we say, how do you get into that abhyasa? That is by performing, practicing this Sankirtana Yajna. And we also talked to you about the sadhana ABCD principles. So Vedaishchai Sarva Aham Eva Vedaha. That means the purpose of Vedas is to understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has given us this material world to come and enjoy, but also to, and the Vedas he has given the manual to follow and to go back to him. So that is what he says, but we forget that and we get stuck in the karma kanda. So that is how we have to raise to this level. Then we won't be, then we will able to free from the cycle of birth and death. So there was a question yesterday, there's still some doubt, would always be this about this attachment, or is it the affection to family? Actually, attachment means that you're very much attached. Like, like an example I can give is parents, they'll be so attached to their children. They won't even, if anybody criticizes their children, they say, see, your boy has done such and such a mistake. They won't accept. They'll be so blinded by that, they will be pampering them. That means they're so attached to it, they can't take any criticism. That is what we call as attachment. You have to have affection. And also you should be a well-wisher to your children, isn't it? So that is the reason you should be able to distinguish what we are meaning by attachment and affection. Here in the purport, I'd like you all to refer to you have the Bhagavad Gita. There it is written by Prabhupada, has written clearly. They, the Kripanas, that is miserly person, waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country. And because they are in the material conception of life, that is, they are the body, and they are not looking at the spiritual life. So they think that he is able to protect his family members from death, or Kripana thinks that his family and society can save him from verge of death. So such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals who take care of children also. So Arjuna was an intelligent person. He could understand this affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the cause for his perplexities, isn't it? And he knew that his duty to fight was awaiting him. Still, because of his temporarily he gets confused and the miserly vagueness, he says he could not discharge the duties. Therefore, he is asking Krishna, the Supreme Personality, Spiritual Master, to make a definition. So this is what we should focus. Saying, they are not saying that you should not be affectionate to the family, but not overly attachment. And also there's another, and also in the next verse, the purport also, Prabhupada has written, that is, when we are born here, we have duties to for 4 things. That is, it said in Bhagavatam, Devashi Bhutapa Nardam Pitra. That means we are obliged to demigods, the devatas, for giving us rain and for taking care of this material nature and how we are living in this world, and to the sages for giving us this transcendental knowledge, scriptures, and for the people like the family and your forefathers who have left your assets, and generally in all that. So we are obliged to all these 4. That is Devashi, Bhutapa, Nirgam, Pritram, Na Kinkaro, Nyayamani, Charajit. So what they say is, one who has completely surrendered into Krishna, Mukunda, that is Sarvatma Sharanam Sharanam, Gato Mukunda Parihatra Kartam, then giving up all other duties, is no longer a debtor. Only when you have completely surrendered to Krishna, then you are not obliged. Otherwise, you are obliged to all these 4 people. Okay. So that is there. Only by slowly doing your, shifting your consciousness to Krishna consciousness, that you are working in that. And that you can do only by Sankirtana Yajna. And more we are going to learn in this chapter also. Okay. So I just wanted to write the thing that we are not, this is what is said in the scriptures. So we have these duties to them, and we have to do all these prescribed duties and slowly advance in our spiritual life. And also we need to know that our occupation of this living entity is Sanatana Dharma. That is, we are part and parcel of this, and when we speak of things, we take it for granted on authoritative granted. That is, there is a difference between Dharma and the religion. No? The religion means you have a faith in a particular person, and he may change his faith and adopt another. But Sanatana Dharma refers to that activity which cannot be changed. What is that? Like, liquidity cannot be taken from water, nor can the heat be taken. Same way from our living entities, our dharma is to serve the Lord. Okay, that is to understand our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and abide by the law. So this is our dharma. That's what it says in the scripture, and it is given in the introduction part. In Bhagavad Gita, you can always refer. So I just put it here so that you can have it as a reference, because this is what we are talking. So now, how to map into our life lessons so far? In chapter 1, we saw that Arjuna reached an impasse situation. That is, he didn't know what to do. I'm powerless. I can give up. So what do? Then we have to turn to a spiritual matter, to go to an authority for a solution. There we learned that I am the soul and not the body. So this is something does not change at all. Okay, not like the seasons. And this is something, this philosophy, which is this thing, reality, it's a reality. So we have to work only on our ability selflessly with determination. That's what we saw in the chapter 2. And then chapter 3, they say, you don't worry. Don't sit and worry whether I should go to forest, why I should worry about the reactions. You just surrender the results to the Krishna, that is Karma Yoga. That's what was talked in the last chapter. And the coming chapter, you are going to see some knowledge which you are going to look at, that Jnana Yoga, which is beyond our perception. And further 5 and 6, we are going to see some more things. Okay. So what is that we are going to see in chapter 4? Transcendental knowledge and about Krishna. That is, see, we are talking that give up the results to the Supreme Lord. Okay, you don't attach to the results. If you don't attach to the results, then whom are you giving it to? So we have to know clearly to whom we are giving it this results of our act. So this is where the Krishna starts talking about this transcendental knowledge. Evam parampara praptam. So how do we get this? How do we understand this Bhagavad Gita? So why we are looking that is what he is going to talk from 4.1 to 4. Then he's talking about Krishna is the goal of all paths, and he's the creator of the Varnashram system. So yesterday I said, no, we have Varnashram system. This is the 4 of Varnashramas. Brahmana, Brahmachari, Kshatriyas, then we have Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. So he says he is the one who has created this system, and we are going to see more about it. Then again, it touches upon Karma Yoga, because it's not that easy to understand the laws of nature, karma, laws of karma. So he is again touching upon that and explaining. Then he talks about sacrifices, which leads to transcendental knowledge, and summary of transcendental knowledge. Tadvidi pranipate. So let us see what we are going to see. So Bhagavad Gita. So we are going to see to the history of Bhagavad Gita. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivasvaste Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyavyam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manor Ikshavakshu Pravi. So what does he say? The Lord, blessed Lord said, I instructed this imperishable sign. Avyavyam means imperishable. Science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan. Yes, told it to the Vivasvan. And Vivasvan instructed it to his son Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu in turn instructed to Ikshvashu, who was the Lord of the earth. So here this is how it has come, the Bhagavad Gita, from the disciplic section. He says here clearly that he has told it to, instructed to sun god. So we see many versions of Bhagavad Gita because Bhagavad Gita is so popular. If it was not life manual, like no, it would have been gathering dust in the somewhere else. It won't have been thing, but it is very popular, and many people have tried to give their own commentaries because they want to be famous. But we have to see how Krishna sings. Here, Krishna is himself telling that he gave the signs to sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed to Manu, and Manu has given it to Ikshvaku. Okay. So, evam parampara praptam imam rajasya viduhu sa kalencha mahata yoga nashta paratapa. So, what has happened is, he has given it to think the supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings. Those days in the Satya Yuga and all that, kings were very saintly. They used to understand it and that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken. And therefore, the science as it is appears to be lost. It's not that the science was not there, but they didn't follow the science. They were not able to understand, they misinterpreted. So that's what Krishna was saying. So he says it appears to be lost. So it was not there. So what do we see this? What do you mean by parampara? So here we have, we learn this science from the bona fide spiritual masters. There are 4 sampradayas here in the thing. Lord Krishna has given this science to Lord Brahma at the time of creation and Sri Lakshmi. So we have this Lakshmi parampara. I don't know if you all people on the South India, Tamil Nadu, Sri Viliputtur, Andal is there. So Anda's she had come to give us the Vishnu Purana. So from there, the spiritual Acharya who has Ramanuja Acharya who take it down and he spread it to everywhere. Spread it to Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra and all that he has spread. And the one, it has come from Lord Brahma to Narada to Vedavyasa, then it came to Madhvacharya, and from Madhvacharya it has come to Madhvendra Puri, and we are in the Gaudiya Parampara. Okay, this is the Parampara which we are following, ISKCON. And this is the Vishnu thing where Ramanujacharya is the one who came under the Sampradaya of Sri Lakshmi Ji. And Lord Rudra Sampradaya was also there, so which has come to Lord Shiva. That is Vishnu Swami is the great Acharya. But they didn't not spread as much like these 2 acharyas. Then we have from Sanat Kumara's Sampradaya, Nimbarakacharya. Okay, so these are the 4 Sampradayas who have been spreading this Bhagavad Gita. And if you go by them, then you find their spiritual masters are bona fide spiritual masters. Okay, but in fact, last month, there was the congregation in Mayapur where great acharyas from these 4 sampradayas met. There was a 2 days conference and they were all these acharyas there. It was a very good conference, but I don't know the details, but I knew that they all met and they all were there in the Mayapur. Okay, so the Madhvacharya and Ramanujacharya is well known. They have spread it to the followers are many, and Madhvacharya is in stationed in Udupi, Mangaluru, and Ramanujacharya's thing is in Sri Ranga in Tamil Nadu. Even today, they say that 1,000 years back in Sri Rangan temple, they have this body of Ramanujacharya is still there, preserved. And I've not seen, I've been there to the temple, I didn't know, but next time I go, I hope I will be blessed to see have a darshan of this the body spirit. See, these are all spiritual masters. Okay, so they're all transcendental. And actually, they say Anujacharya means he's a Lakshman who has come as a Ramanujacharya, and Madhvacharya is the Hanuman. Okay, so these are the 4 sampradayas. If you learn from them, that is the true knowledge. When you come for them, not take to the spiritual master, because they think Bhagavad Gita is as it is, as Krishna says, right? So now Arjuna got a question. But how you are my contemporary? Because Arjuna Uvacha, Aparam Bhavato Janam Janma param janma vivastaha katame vidyaniyam vamadau prokta vaniti. So what does he say? Arjuna says, Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed the signs to him? Because he's seeing Krishna in the Dwapara Yuga, and he's saying how you could have told sun god, because sun god was there from the beginning of the creation, isn't it? So then, why is Arjuna asking this? That we should understand. Actually, because it is to defy the demonic atheistic people, no, who think Krishna is ordinary. Actually, when Krishna was there in Dwapara Yuga, he had done some very uncommon acts. He lifted the Govardhan hill. Even when he was just 3 months old, he could kill the Putana demon. So many things, demons he killed. And he was there with his transcendental nature. And it was his energy was there. And he did all extraordinary things which no human being can do that. And still we think that he was an ordinary person. Then he was, so Arjuna wants Krishna to speak authoritatively. Why? How he did? Because then Krishna says, you may not have remembered, but birth after that, you and I have been coming. I know your past, and also I know the future. I've been an eternal, but you have forgotten the past, so you don't remember. So that's what Krishna says. So why is that? Then we have to see about this this Vedic maths, because we should know. When we say it was told to sun god, they have done the calculation. So this is the life of Brahma. Where they say its life of Brahma is about 36,000 kalpas, days. 1 day of Brahma is known as 1 kalpa. So there is 36,000 kalpas plus an equal number of nights. That means into 2. That is the 72,000 kalpas is the life of Brahma is 311.04 trillion years. You can easily calculate here. We can hear from this by because 1 kalpa is 14 manvantras plus 15 sandhyas. Sandhyas means from 1 manvantra to, I think there's a gap, but that is a gap is sandhyas. So then manvantra you can calculate 71 divya yugas, and there we see Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. Now 5,000, about 5,000 years has been passed. Then Dwapara Yuga is twice as the Kali Yuga, that is 64,000. And Treta Yuga is 3 times Kali Yuga, so 1.296 million years. Satya Yuga is 4 times this. So by these calculations, you can, this is a timeline. So because why this has been given is given in the scriptures, and we have taken it from there. So Brahma has passed 50 years. So, and then 6 mantras, we can, from this, we can calculate the life of Brahma. As for now, he has completed 155.52 trillion years. And this is a Vedic maths. And from this, we are trying to find out when the Gita was spoken. It was spoken 120 million years ago to Vivaswan. So how do you get to know that? Because to know the life of the 27 cycles of 4 yugas are over, then Satra things and all that you calculate. And from there, you calculate the life of Manu. And because accepting that before birth of Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple. So we get to know that it was taught to Vivaswan, sun god, 120 million years ago. Okay, this is the timeline. And then when did it come to the earth? It is taken, this is a reference from Chanti Parva, 348, 51 to 52 verses. From there, they have traced out the history of Gita. And from that, they found out when it was spoken to Ikshvaku, who was the king of this earth planet. So they talked nothing, and this is the calculation. So it has come to the earth 2 million years ago. So, and we think that it is not there. And we know science, whatever the science we are talking about is just about few hundreds. But this Bhagavad Gita has come to the earth 2 million years ago. Okay, this is our legacy we have. And we are fortunate to read it today. Okay. And from this, we also has given this to only to tell us how is the life of Brahma, and 1 second of Brahma is 100,000 years. It's like, but when you compare to the spiritual world, that is from where the Vaikuntha and all that, it is just a flash, the Brahma's life. But for us, it looks to 1 second of 100,000 years. It's very inconceivable. Okay. So how does Krishna appear? Apo, so ajo api san avyavatam bhutanam ishvaro api san prakritam swam adhishtaya sambhavami atmamay. Although I'm unborn and my transcendent body never deteriorates, although I'm the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transform. So the form he takes is transcendental. So his body, though it looks material body, but it is not. He comes in his original transcendental form. Okay, so that's what here Krishna is saying. And actually, when he appeared before Vasudeva and Devaki in the prison, first he appeared in the 400 form, and they actually prayed them. And then there's a beautiful prayer offered by Vasudeva, and I think it's in the Krishna book. And then they say, please don't come in this, please come in the thing, because they were scared of Kamsa. So then he takes the form of a small baby, and then you know the story of Krishna, isn't it? So then when does he appear? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adasya tadatmanam shajami aham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and predominant rise of irreligion, at that time he descends in myself. So that's what he says. When does he come? How he comes? He comes in his transcendental form. And whenever there's a decline in the religion thing, he comes. Here you see, Kamsa is trying to kill his own sister, and Vasudeva is trying to prevent, and then finally he puts them into the prison. Then why does Krishna appear? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushtatam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after. So there's no force to the Krishna Lord to come here, but he comes for the devotees, because the pious people want to see Krishna. So he comes down, and to annihilate the miscreants, he can always do it by sending somebody. But he also wants to come for the pious people's sake. So he comes, yogi. And what is the benefit of knowing Krishna? So all this when he talks, then he says, Janma karma chame divyam. So he's the whole evam to veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti so arjuna. So punarjan. So one who knows this transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world. He attains my eternal birth. So he says, Janma, that means he will not, he will be free from the cycle of birth and death just by knowing his, understanding his transcendental nature of his appearance and activities. So that's the reason why we need to keep hearing and hearing and hearing, and this, because that is what purifies our heart. Okay. And then we saw that Krishna's form is spiritual, but our form is temporary. That is, we have our soul, then we are covered with a subtle body, which has false ego, mind, and intelligence, and then a gross body, which is earth, water, air, fire, and ether. Okay. So we are controlled by Maya, whereas Krishna is the controller of Maya. So this is the basic difference between Krishna and us. Okay. So is anybody in history able to know Krishna? See, when he says that you can, people who know about my nature and my activities, they have been relieved from the cycle of birth. So Krishna says, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. Vita means free. You have to free from attachment, fear. Bhaya means fear. Krodha is anger. Manmaya mam upastrita baho jnana tapasa putamad bhavam agata. Yata mam prapadyante tata staitva bhajamiha mama vartamtante manusya partha sarvash. So what he says is, you should be free from attachment. What is this attachment? He talks is attachment to the material life. When the people are so strongly attached to the material life, they will neglect to do the spiritual work. So they won't focus on that. They are so attached to the material life. Okay, that is what raga means. And bhaya is the fear. They are fire because They fear, okay, we are telling, no, we are the soul and the body, not the body. That identity, no, some people are scared. How they will scare because they know that as a, they can understand, okay, I have this body and I'm this person and all that. Just because in the death time, when you lose that body, they don't know where they will go. So that is the fear they have. And they, for them, they will rather merge into the Brahma Jyoti. They'll feel so happy to merge into that rather than going to the Golak. So that is the bhaya they have. And the Krodha is, some people cannot understand itself. The concept of this, no, resulting this frustration of life, they're not able to understand this nature. They become angry at for all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness because they cannot understand. They get frustrated and they get angry about that. So these are the things. If you're free from such things and if you be convinced about this transcendental nature and as the pastimes of the Lord, then you will be able to come to him. That's what the Krishna says, Yagneshwara. That is, you should be freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me. And thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So he says they have done, they got purified, and this knowledge is transcendental because it takes time to understand. And there are people who have, some have done different rasas, you know, some were dasa rasa, then they've been a friend serving as a thing or as a friend or a thing. So shanta rasas. So the different rasas, they are the way they approach the Lord. But what happens to people is when they look in, they study the Vedas and they get caught into the karma kanda, as I said, no. So men in this world desire success in fruitive activities and therefore they worship the demigods. Demigods means devatas. Quickly, of course, they will get results from the fruitive work in this world. Because they get quick results, no, they get attracted to it and they don't take to the spiritual life because they want to be contented with whatever the results they get from the karma kanda work, right? So that is what, but they are all temporary because yeah, after death, what happens? You will have to leave everything, whatever you have achieved, the benefits, you have to leave, and again you have to be in the cycle of death and birth and death, right? So this is not, it's like a blocker. I mean, that blocks us our advancing in the spiritual life. So here, so Krishna says, Chaturvarnyam maya shrishtam gunas karma vibhagasha tasya kartaram apimam vidhi akartam avyayam. Avyayam is according to the three modes of nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am at the non-doer being unchangeable. So he has created these four divisions. That is the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras. That is not the caste system what we have here. The caste system is what we see in India. It's only, yeah, but it's a very, not the proper system we have, but what was there in the Vedic system, Vedic culture was different. So these, there were people who were studying only Vedas and teaching, guiding the other people in the other orders into how, I mean, they will advise the kings, they will advise the Vaishyas and the things in the, how to do, be in the spiritual life, right? They will giving the spiritual teachings, and the Kshatriyas are the ones who will be protecting the citizens, and also they will be, all the miscreants and all will be taken care of and they will govern properly and they will be guided by the Brahmanas. And Vaishyas would have learned, they will look into the business and to the trading, and Shudras are the ones who will think. So they all will work in a coordinated manner. And they will, each one will go take their, because the work is assigned to them as per their nature. What is their tendency to work? Not to by birth. It is never said by birth. So if you are born in a Brahmana family, it doesn't mean that you have to take the Brahmanical work. But if you are born in Kshatriya, it doesn't mean you have to be take the job of the Kshatriya. But your nature is different, then you have to take up the work as per your nature. Okay, that's what he says. Guna karma vibhaga. That is how the division has been made, and it worked well because they were helping each other, coordinating each other. Because when these people work, they'll be feeding them to live in this material world, and they will be feeding them spiritual knowledge to these people and guiding them in the spiritual life, and the Kshatriyas will be protecting them from his grace. So they work all in a coordinated manner. That's what was the system was created, Chaturvarnyam, in the Vedic system. But there is no work, though he created all this, Krishna says, there's no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the reactions of birth. So, but when he was in Dwapara Yuga, he did all the four. Like when he was in Vrindavan, he was at the Vaishya because he was caring for the cows and all that. Then he took up the work of a charioteer, he was a Sudra. But then in the war also, he took up the arms as a Kshatriya to protect Arjuna. Then in the palace, he was a Brahmanical thing. That also he followed. So for him, everything he follows. He doesn't think that there's no work for me. But he doesn't aspire for the fruits of action. But if you understand this truth about him, then we don't get things. So he displayed all the gunas. Now he comes to talk about the intricacies of actions, which are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Because this, if you understand, then it's easy. That's what he says. Let us look at that. Well, what is forbidden action? That is, they don't follow the Vedas. They risk of being degraded to low species and not appreciated by saintly people. They defeat the purpose of life because they are forbidden actions only they will do, and that is bad karmas. Whereas karmis, they will do as per follow the Vedas piously and attain Svarga, bodies of the good higher planets. But afterwards, after finishing their punya count, they have to come back to Mrityu again to perform, because otherwise they can't get liberated from this cycle of birth and death. So they will go up, but they have to come down because they have to finally go back to the Lord. Whereas akarmis, the thing they do the devotional service to Krishna, just like the example is Nartamani. They know that fruitive activity binds and means in the rebirth. See, but doing pious activity is also binding to the material world. You are not free from the cycle. So we have to do a shifting work do devotional service to the Lord. How do we do that? We have to learn it from the Guru. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasthena sevaya upadekshanti te gnanam naninas tattva dashinaha. Just to try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively. You have to sacrifice your pride, your self thing, and you have to submit, telling him that I don't know anything, and you have to serve him. When the service at him, then the self-realized soul can impart this knowledge into you because he has seen the truth. Only such people you have to go and learn. So the spiritual master is must. So what did we learn? So he talked about this transcendental knowledge, knowing which we can get free from this cycle of birth and death. That's one. And that too, you should learn from the spiritual master who have come from the parampara, that is disciplic sessions. Bona fide masters are the ones whom should we learn this spiritual knowledge. This God is very special. And Krishna is the goal of all the paths and the creator of the Varnashrama system. Okay. And he has given all this. It's not that goal doesn't mean that some people may say, no, that all paths lead to same. It's not that. Only one path is there towards Krishna, but the only thing is you would have gone a different, like a ladder. You would be in the first rung, or you might be in the fourth rung, or you might be in the first or closer to the Bhakti Yoga. So that is all it is, but it's not this only path, and all will go to the Krishna. Either you serve Krishna or you'll be serving the Maya, that is the material world. That's all you'll be doing. And Karma Yoga, he talked about the reactions. So when transcendental knowledge will help us to clear up the philosophical doubts, and it also helps us to clear up our karmic balance, because by knowing this we will able to even burn up our sinful reactions which we have. That's what because bad karma is obviously undesirable, but Krishna says even good karma, that also will bind us in this material existence. So we have to go beyond that spiritual level. That actions which yields no reaction will free from the anxieties. That is what we should do. That means we have to shift our consciousness to Krishna consciousness. And that we can do only with the help of a spiritual master. So knowledge is dependent on the practice. So this is what we should do, and that is what we have talked today on transcendental knowledge. And the parampara is important, and we have to surrender to the Lord, and depends on how, to the extent of our surrender, to that extent Krishna will reciprocate to us. And Guru is very important in this for our spiritual life. And how to gain, we talked about it. And ignorance. If you are ignorance, no, then you'll be always, if you don't get this knowledge, you'll be always in the ignorant and we doing sinful acts and we take birth again and then. So we'll be in this cycle. So we have to come out of this. Then we should not only do a karma, we should also learn the transcendental knowledge, know about the Lord. Okay, that's what was focused here. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So before that, I think Vancha Kalpatu Evacham, Kripa Sindhu Evacha, Patitam Nam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavyo, Namo Namo, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I think I will stop sharing and I will stop.